Howdy. I was just watching a Joe Rogan podcast, and the idea of suicide and depression comes up on there every now and then, and he's just baffled by it. He doesn't get it. Self-admittedly, he doesn't get it. Talks about just hit the gym, go do some PT. Be in shape. You'll always have a good day if you started out right in the gym. And you know what? There's some truth to that. That's still half decent advice. But when you're going through it, having the juice just to get out of bed is huge. It's so difficult. And I reached out about 2 years ago for my kids. Found myself popping off on my kids just over nothing. I was just an asshole and I didn't know it. Years ago, a guy that I knew that I served with, I didn't know him when I served, I met him after, but he was seeking help for PTSD, and I was so freaking ignorant about it. I was like, yeah, you just get some NLP and you're good to go. A friend of mine is an NLP practitioner, and I read about it a little bit in a Tony Robbins book that was pretty good. And I said to him, oh yeah, 20 minutes, man. I've written a book. I'll go through it with you. Be good. You're good to go. No more PTSD for you. And he just looked at me. I can't believe he didn't punch me in the mouth. But I was that ignorant on it. And here I am after a year of therapy and more than that in group and all the other things that are offered by VAC, and thank God that they are. There's a lot of discontent at Veterans Affairs. I hear people bad-mouthing Veterans Affairs Canada, bad-mouthing the Legion, and I'm sorry that you've had that. If that's you, I'm so sorry that you've had that experience. I don't know why that is. All I can tell you is when I needed help, and I mean I needed it, I was at the end of my rope. They were there and fast. Where I got the best results was through Veterans Affairs. No, not at all. The best help was through the Legion, Northwest Command. There's a couple of guys there, Sean Wood and Mike Burgess, and a couple of British veterans. Anywho, when I reached out to them, it was just bing, bang, boom, chop, 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 and they became my advocates, and shit happened quickly. And I needed it. I was just totally out of gas. And when I needed it, was there. Hear a lot of complaining about Trudeau and Veterans Affairs too. I'm not voting for the guy. I didn't vote for the guy. I don't have a very high opinion of him. But not everything he says or does is wrong or stupid. When it comes to Veterans Affairs, what he's done is pretty good. It wasn't him that cut off the lifetime pensions. That was Harper, who I did vote for. And that was really, really wrong. Friends of mine with missing legs, and we all know people that have lost 1, 2, or more limbs and have permanent disabilities. Now it's $360,000. Here you go. See you later. How long is that going to last? 4 years? And on top of it, you probably have depression or PTSD, and you're just unable to work. There's over 150 homeless veterans in Calgary alone. The reason that veterans end up being homeless is it's a mental health issue. When you are just so messed up that you just don't have the juice. And even if you have the juice to go work, like you have the ability to actually pick yourself up, drag yourself out of bed and do it, what type of work are you going to do? What are you going to do that you're not going to lose that job in 2 or 3 months? When I got out of real estate, I tried the corporate tour for a few months, few years. I couldn't keep a job, man. I could not keep a job. Is it because I'm stupid? No. Is it because I'm lazy? No. It's because no matter how nice and easygoing I can be, how great I can be with clients, if you try to push me, it's not good. It's not good. I push back, and I cannot for the life of me keep my mouth shut. Ever. If something's wrong, it's wrong, and I cannot keep my mouth shut. And I prided myself on that for a long time. And it took me a long time to realize when you have a job, when you have a job, you got to keep your mouth shut. You just do. And there's egos. Anybody, especially infantry veterans, or combat arms, any of us, but I think especially infantry veterans, in the workplace, like for a regular corporate structure, as soon as somebody finds out that you're a combat veteran of some sort, the egos come out, and these guys get all insecure and start acting tough around you, like as if they have to compete with you or something. Like, no, man, I'm not trying to be a tough guy or say that I'm a tough guy in any way, but it starts a problem. And so if people are insecure around you, that's not a good starting point. They'll find reasons to not like you. I'm doing this video because I'm very cards on the table about the fact that I've been in therapy for over a year, and every couple of weeks I participate in a peer support group that I'm going to be actually running here after I take my course, probably October, if they actually get me on this course. And what I've found is we're not alone, for starters. You see Facebook posts on some of the veterans pages, and they're talking, they'll often say, hey, if you need to talk, here's my number, just call me. Well, you're not a fucking therapist, for starters. So, that's where you're not going to get the phone call. People don't reach out when they're in the toilet, when you are really scraping. You don't reach out. You can't. And the last person you're going to reach out to is somebody that you served with. Unless they have been through it, have been seeking therapy, maybe have a course or two on mental health, first aid, that sort of thing. Because veterans say the stupidest shit to each other. I said the stupidest shit to other veterans when it comes to OSIs and PTSD. And we're just the worst. We're the worst, well-meaning, well-intended, but we're just the worst for asking for advice because we don't understand it ourselves. There's so many of us that we don't reach out, but we should. And we don't know we have a problem. I worked with a guy not long ago. He's probably got some of the worst damage from operational stress injuries, OSIs, which I prefer that term over PTSD. Some of the worst I've ever seen. He, although good-hearted, can pop off just like that. He's abusive to his wife, and he has no idea. He loves his wife, loves her to death, and he abuses her, and he has no idea that he's doing it. He doesn't think that that's what it is, but it is. He abuses the hell out of her. It's bad, but he rationalizes, just like we all do. A story that I shared at our peer support group that I'll share here really hit a lot of people right between the eyes. And so I'll share it so I can explain it. And most of you can relate. And any of you that knew me back in the day, remember the days when I used to punch holes in walls and dent lockers and just stupid. But anywho, Remembrance Day last year. Remembrance Day is usually a rough day anyway, and loading my kids in the car, that sort of thing, is usually sort of a rough thing. Just turn my stupid phone off here. And so load the kids in the car, get my wife in the car, I get in the car, and all of a sudden I'm looking around and my car is in rough shape, and I'm like, oh my God, my car got broken into last night and I'm missing a couple $100 worth of stuff. And I popped. I started beating the shit out of my steering wheel, just hard as I could, just hammering my steering wheel with a few explicatives. And then I got control of myself, and then I thought, well, didn't hurt the car, big deal. I didn't aim this at anybody, but as we talk about in our peer support group, it's like a grenade going off, and there's a blast radius from this grenade, and I thought I wasn't hurting anybody, but my wife was pretty upset for days after, because she's not used to stuff like that. When it's a bunch of infantry guys and some guy flips out, it's no big deal. It's like, yeah, okay, wild ride, right on. But most people, that's not something that they're used to or accustomed to, nor should they be. So that's the secondary trauma that I was causing my wife and my little kids in the back. What am I teaching them? What am I teaching them? You think you're not hurting anybody, but if somebody has to witness you having a total blowout, you are hurting them. And it's your responsibility to seek help and acquire new tools so that shit don't happen. Over the last year, there's been highs and lows, but I can tell you, healing happens, and I'm a lot better today than I was then. I don't blow. If I do, it's like at a 6 out of 10, not an 11 out of 10 like it was. It's better. I'm trying to get down to a 3, which is where I think normal people probably are, and I'm working on it, and I'll get there. Well, maybe not to a 3, but if I can get to a 4 or 5, that'd be pretty good. Either way, it's a constant struggle. It's a constant job. So the title of this video is how to help people and how not to. It's good to post suicide hotlines, that sort of thing. I even called one myself years ago. If you've never had suicidal thoughts in your head, it's tough to understand it. But when they hit you, at least when they hit me, they were a plague. I could not get them out of my head. It's all I thought about all day, every day. Go to sleep, running scenarios in your head of how, when, and where to do it. It's hellish. You don't want those thoughts in your head. You don't want that in your head. You don't want to be thinking like that. But when it hits you, it's just, you can't get, it's like a wood tick in your brain. You can't get rid of it. And I've been so fortunate. The work that we've been doing through therapy and other avenues has helped. And I'm not suffering from that plague anymore, which is good, because it's no damn fun. So if you think somebody's in a dark hole and you want to help them, just call them. Don't put an emoji on Facebook and think that's going to do anything. Call them. Just spend some time. Don't talk about it. You're not a therapist. You don't know how to talk about it. Listen if they want to talk. Listen. And don't judge. and don't solve their problems because you can't. And any advice you are going to give would be well-meaning, but probably really bad advice. So don't even try. If you think somebody's in trouble, call them and spend time with them. Just a bit of time, it's all it takes. Hang out and listen. That's it. That's all there is to it. And if you're waiting for them to call you, it's not going to happen. It just doesn't. If somebody's in trouble, call them. Spend some time with them. Be a friend. That's all there is to it. Spend some time and be a friend. That's how you help. And what not to say is pretty much anything. There's really nothing for you to say. It's only listening. And if you have gone through it too, and there's things that you've done that have been helpful, share that. But don't think that your experience is going to be the same as anybody else's experience, because it's just not. You don't know the pain that I've gone through, and I don't know the pain you've gone through. I only know the pain I've gone through. And I can share that, and if you relate to it, great. And you can share yours. And if I can relate to that, great. At the end of the day, peer support groups are probably one of the best tools in your toolbox for getting by, for getting through it, because it's the only place where you can be heard and where you can hear other people talk, and where you can really listen and understand that you're not alone, that so many of us are going through it. Another thing that we tend to do is minimize our trauma by comparing it to others. Well, I couldn't possibly have PTSD because I only have one tour, and my friend has like 5 tours and he doesn't have any PTSD. First of all, you don't know that at all, because we all wear the mask, and people always think I'm so upbeat and good to go, and they don't know the dark times. They don't know what's going on behind the mask. They don't know. And you don't know what's going on behind somebody else's mask. You don't know. You wish you did, but you don't. And even if you were on the exact same tour as somebody, and they're your fire team partner, they were right there with you. You went through the same events, but you didn't have the same experience, because you don't have the same background, because you're not the same person. So you're not going to have exactly the same perspective. So even if you were right beside somebody, having the identical thing, going through the same situation, the same firefight, the same whatever, how it affects them is based on their perception, which is based on everything that they are and have ever been. It's their perspective is shaped on the entire life that they've had up until that point. You can't share that. So you can sit around and have a beer and reminisce about a particular firefight or incident or situation, but you can't say that if it doesn't bother me, how could it bother you? Or the other way around, because you're different people, and that's just not how this stuff works. OSIs, operational stress injuries, are like a stamp on the brain. They actually rewire your neural pathways. So all the wires are going this way, and then bzzz, and it just changes the way you're wired. And that is something that you can mitigate, and you can help through adopting different tools, learning different mindsets, and just going through different types of therapy. My therapist and I use ART, which is a lot like NLP actually. It's going through again through the situations, and then having that situation mean something different to you. So instead of it being a bad situation, It's either neutral or possibly even positive, which sounds difficult to do, but you can do it with professional help. There's a whole process to it, and it's been pretty effective for me. I think so anyway. Still suffering from depression, but it's getting better, and I'm moving forward with it, and life is getting better. For myself, I believe a man needs a project. So the book that I've just finished writing, it will be in print soon enough. The Home Seller's Bible. I wrote the book. It's my second book. The first book I wrote for my kids. This book I'm writing to support my business and as a good tool for my clients. So it's a big project to write a book, but when you practice mindfulness, like for me, when I'm writing a book, all my energy, all my focus is there. So I feel pretty good. And I actually got juice in the tank, and I've got energy to do that project. That's what works for me. But whether it's that or refinishing an old car or knitting a sweater, whatever, quilting, for me, it's writing a book. That works for me. I've already started my next book. About some topics that I think are important, and in a couple of years I'll probably do a PTSD survival guidebook. Who knows? We'll see. But have a project, because when your head is in a really mentally engaging project, it is tough for your head to be in an unhealthy place. It's a good coping mechanism. It's not a cure. It doesn't fix it, but it is a good coping mechanism. Anyway, those are some of the things I want to talk about and share. I see there's nobody that's been watching this the whole time, which is interesting. But I'd really like to do a podcast where it's a conversation format, where I'm sitting down with others and talking about our experiences for the benefit of others. The reason I'm doing this particular broadcast is with the hope that I'm going to connect with somebody that is struggling. Don't have to be a veteran to have issues with PTSD. You do have to be a veteran to have an operational stress injury, though. That's the operational part of that phrase. But if you know of someone that is struggling, I hope this video helps you on how to talk to them, or more importantly, how to listen to them, and helps you understand just a little bit more about what veterans and serving members go through. Not all of us do. Some of us, it's at various levels, and some people have got through fairly scot-free, but a lot of us haven't, and because we're all different people, and that's all right. Just know you're not alone. If you are somebody that's struggling, I hope I've connected with you in some way, and that sharing some of my experiences is helpful in some way. Anyhow, feel free to comment on this video. Make your own as a response. That's cool. Or share it. It's when it comes to OSIs, I make sure that I'm an open book. And if you have some questions about resources that are available to you, want some suggestions on some good coping mechanisms, anything like that, just let me know. And more than happy. Or if you just want somebody that knows how to listen and not judge, I can do that too. All right. So hope this has been helpful, informative, maybe mildly interesting. But thanks for watching, and be well.